Imagine logging into your dashboard on a Tuesday morning, checking your call logs, and realizing your inbound phone volume just dropped by 60% overnight.
Oh, yeah, just completely dead.
Right, the phones are dead. You have this whole fleet of trucks sitting idle, technicians waiting for dispatch, and, overhead is just piling up by the hour.
It's terrifying.
And you have absolutely no idea why it happened or, how to fix it.
It really is the ultimate feast or famine anxiety. I mean, if you're running a service business, it is incredibly common, and it usually strikes without any warning whatsoever.
Yeah, so welcome to the room, everybody. You brought us a very specific, incredibly painful problem today. It's that feeling where some days the phone rings and some days it just doesn't.
Yeah, the classic roller coaster.
Exactly. So we're taking you behind closed doors for an internal strategy session here at Atrium. You're sitting right at the table with us to hear exactly how our team breaks this down.
We're doing a real deep dive today.
We are. We've pulled a massive stack of internal data from our client files, CRM analytics, consumer behavior research, really just to figure out why the referral well suddenly dries up, and more importantly, how to actually fix it.
Right, because as a growth partner for contractors and design-focused businesses, our mission isn't just to, buy you more clicks.
No, definitely not.
It's to build systems for better, predictable projects. So to solve the drop-off, we actually have to start by looking at what happens when times are good.
Right.
We need to examine the trap that most contractors fall into when their business is, well, seemingly invincible.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's trace that standard trajectory because we see this pattern constantly, especially right now in the chimney and masonry businesses we work with.
Oh, all the time.
Right. You have a technician, someone who is fully CSIA certified, and for anyone outside the industry, that's the Chimney Safety Institute of America.
Basically the gold standard.
Yeah, it means this person didn't just buy a brush. They spent serious time and money mastering the actual physical craft, the thermodynamics of a flue, the rigorous safety protocols.
They really know their stuff.
Exactly. They treat the homeowner's property with respect, and naturally the customers are thrilled.
Yeah. The quality of the work speaks for itself, and word spreads. The company gets busy, the owner adds a truck, then they hire another technician, then they add another truck just to keep up with the demand.
And this is the critical juncture right here. The business begins to grow entirely around personal relationships and neighborhood referrals instead of growing around predictable systems.
Right.
During the strong heating seasons, like the fall and the winter, they easily survive on that word of mouth. I mean, the sheer urgency of winter emergencies, like a blocked flue backing smoke into a living room, it completely masks the lack of an underlying marketing engine.
Yeah, it hides all the flaws. But then we hit May.
Yep, the snow melts.
Exactly. The snow melts, those urgent winter emergencies just vanish overnight. Homeowners look out their windows and they immediately shift their mental energy and their wallets toward landscaping projects.
Right.
Fixing the deck or, booking summer vacations.
They aren't thinking about fireplaces.
Not at all. The urgency that drives chimney inspections just drops off a cliff.
Which exposes a terrifying reality for an owner who's suddenly looking at a really hefty payroll. It shows just how fragile an ecosystem built entirely on referrals actually is.
It's basically a house of cards.
Yeah. When the season changes, the triggers that cause that referral well to dry up, they aren't these massive, catastrophic business failures. They're tiny, invisible shifts.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like one local real estate partner who just happens to have a slow month selling homes. Or maybe your best referral source, like a local roofer, retires and moves out of state.
Or honestly, just a busy customer who absolutely loved your work, but simply forgets to mention your name to their neighbor at a Sunday barbecue.
Right. The variables are just entirely out of your control. Building a business purely on referrals is like driving a car without a gas gauge.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right. You're moving fast, the engine sounds great, you're making excellent time, but you have absolutely no idea when you are just going to stall out on the side of the highway.
Yeah, you just assume the tank is full because the car is currently moving.
Exactly. But let me push back on this, or at least play devil's advocate for the owner who's staring at that dashboard.
Sure, go for it.
When a business owner is looking down the barrel of a massive 60% drop in calls just because the calendar flipped to spring, I mean, does that automatically mean their entire business model is fundamentally broken?
Oh.
Because that is usually what they feel in that moment.
Well, what's fascinating here is that a steep drop does not mean the business is broken. It means the dependency on referrals just became glaringly visible.
Oh, okay.
Think about the intent behind the business, right?
Mm-hmm.
No owner intentionally creates a fragile company.
No, of course not.
They don't set out to build a house of cards. They just do really good work. But as they scale up, as they add heavy overhead to meet that peak winter demand, that referral math becomes incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, the math just doesn't work.
Right, because you simply cannot predict, measure, or scale hoping someone mentions your name.
It reminds me of looking at a massive, towering oak tree in someone's front yard. You assume the root system is incredibly deep just because the tree is big.
Right.
But then a totally normal, predictable spring storm rolls in, and the whole thing just topples over. And when you look at the bottom, you realize there's almost nothing holding it to the ground. The roots were shallow the entire time. The weather just finally exposed it.
That's exactly it. So, since we know for an absolute fact that a steep drop in calls is going to happen when the season changes, May is always going to arrive on schedule. The next logical step in our internal review process here at Atrium is diagnosing the nature of that drop.
Right, we have to figure out the why.
Exactly. We have to figure out how to tell if a client is just experiencing a normal expected signal slowdown or if they have a massive structural leak in the foundation of their business.
Yeah, and this is exactly what our colleague Andrea pointed out recently when we were reviewing client data together.
Oh, yeah, I remember that meeting.
She noted that to find the actual truth, you cannot just look at how many times the phone rang this week. You really have to look at the historical data. Like, you need to pull the last 3 years of data out of your CRM.
Right. If you were using something like Service Titan, which is essentially the central nervous system for a home service business.
Yeah, it tracks everything.
Exactly. Tracking everything from the initial inbound call to the moment the technician closes out the invoice on their iPad. You have an absolute goldmine of truth in there.
But owners tend to fixate entirely on the immediate call volume.
They do.
Yeah.
And Andrea's point was that feelings are not facts, especially when an owner is stressed about an empty dispatch board. You have to compare the total incoming calls by month over those 3 years, absolutely.
Yeah.
But you also have to look at the number of estimates actually sent out.
The estimate approval rates, repeat customer activity, all of it.
Exactly.
Like, how many jobs did we quote and how many did we actually win?
Yes. And Andrea highlighted a very specific, revealing metric that we always look for during these strategy audits. If the same seasonal dip happens every single year at the exact same time and your ratios stay the same, well, that's just seasonality.
You can plan for that.
You can. But if referrals represented 80% of your booked jobs 3 years ago, and today they only represent 40% of your booked jobs, something fundamental is broken down in the architecture of your business.
Yeah, that is a structural leak.
A massive one.
Okay, put yourself in the shoes of the typical contractor for a second. When they see that 40% drop, the gut reaction is pure panic.
Oh, absolutely.
And the immediate visceral reflex is usually, I need to throw money at Google Ads right now.
Yeah.
They just want to pour more leads, any leads really, into the top of the funnel to compensate for the fact that the referral phone stopped ringing. Why is that such a common reaction?
Well, because it feels like taking control. When you're bleeding revenue, logging into an ad platform and increasing a budget by $2,000, it gives you an immediate dopamine hit.
Right, you feel like you're doing something.
Exactly. It feels like you're proactively solving the problem. Google makes it incredibly frictionless to just push a button and buy traffic.
But you and I both know that is almost always a terrible strategy in that specific moment.
It's disastrous because they start spending money without actually understanding where their booked jobs come from or why they stopped. Let's run the math on this for a second.
Let's do it.
Imagine you lose a highly connected referral source. Let's go back to that local roofer who always sent you their chimney repair work. That relationship was responsible for, say, 10 booked jobs a month. These are high-intent, high-trust jobs because the homeowner already trusts the roofer, so by extension, they immediately trust you.
There is zero friction. The homeowner just says, hey, if the roofer says I need you, here is my credit card.
Precisely. If you try to replace that specific volume by simply bumping up your monthly Google Ads budget by a few $1,000s, it will not magically work.
Yeah.
That is just where wasted ad spend piles up.
It's totally different traffic.
Completely different. A cold internet lead, someone who just typed chimney sweep near me into their phone, does not convert at the same rate. And they certainly don't have that built-in trust.
Right.
You're going to pay a premium to acquire that click and you will have to work 3 times as hard to close it.
You're basically trying to replace apples with oranges, and you're paying 20 times the price for the oranges.
Exactly.
Which means if blindly buying more top-of-funnel leads isn't the solution, we have to look much deeper into the mechanics of their sales funnel.
Which brings us to what we frankly consider the silent killer of growth in these home service businesses.
The post-estimate void.
Yes. In all of our strategy discussions with clients, we find over and over again that the breakdown isn't getting the phone to ring initially. The real breakdown is what happens after the technician drives away and emails the quote.
I really want to spend some time on this because it is a massive blind spot. Our colleague Diego actually brought this up when we were reviewing some campaigns just last week.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the Atrium approach is to build consistency, not by chasing new clicks, but by mastering speed to lead and absolutely meticulous estimate follow-up. And Diego shared a real-world scenario of a business owner we work with who was completely misdiagnosing their own problem.
Oh, I remember that review.
Well,
The owner was absolutely convinced they were losing bids because their pricing was too high.
yep.
They thought they were just getting undercut by cheaper, lower quality competitors in town every single time.
Yeah.
It is the easiest excuse to lean on because it absolves the company of responsibility. Oh, we're just too expensive for these cheap homeowners.
Right. But then Diego and the team actually went into their CRM and pulled the real numbers. And what did they find? Nearly 30% of their open estimates had never received a single follow-up call. Not one.
It's crazy.
The issue wasn't that they were dealing with relentless price shoppers. The issue was complete and utter silence from the company itself.
And the psychology behind this is fascinating, and it happens for a few reasons. Sometimes the owner is still in the truck doing the actual sweeping, so they simply don't have the administrative time to sit at a desk and make phone calls.
Yeah, they're wearing too many hats.
Exactly.
Duh.
But often, it's a fear of seeming pushy. They feel like, hey, I gave them the price, the ball is in their court. If they want the work done, they'll call me.
But here's where it gets really interesting to me. Think about the incredible amount of energy and money that owners spent just to get the lead.
Oh, thousands of dollars. Easily.
Right. They paid for the marketing. They paid the gas to drive an hour across town. They spent an hour climbing on a roof doing a thorough level 2 inspection, which, by the way, means pulling out the specialized video cameras, snaking them all the way down the flue, finding hidden structural cracks, documenting everything.
That's a lot of work.
They do all of that hard physical labor. They write up a highly detailed $5,000 estimate, and then they just email it into the void and wait.
They are actively losing the job after they have already done 90% of the work. And this is where we bring in resources like Google's consumer research when we're building out these systems for clients.
Right, because that data is so insightful.
Because that research clarifies how homeowners actually make purchasing decisions during that crucial post-estimate window. We have to remember that homeowners are not experts in thermodynamics or masonry.
No, they don't know what a parge coat is. They don't know the difference between a stainless steel liner and a poured cast-in-place liner.
Exactly. When they receive a quote for $5,000, they are overwhelmed. They're intimidated by the scope of work. They need a guide, not just an automated invoice in their inbox.
They need someone to walk them through it.
If you are the company that proactively picks up the phone 3 days later and says, "Hi, I know that quote had a lot of technical terms on it. Do you have any questions about the safety implications of that cracked flue tile?" I mean, you win the job.
Absolutely.
You win it regardless of being the lowest bidder because you provided clarity and trust.
Hoping a confused customer calls you back to hand you thousands of dollars is relying on a relationship. Proactively calling them to answer their questions and close the deal, that is a system.
It's a completely different approach.
It completely shifts the perspective.
Yeah.
It's not a lead generation problem at all. It's a conversion problem hidden in plain sight. I mean, we regularly see companies recover massive amounts of revenue simply by picking up the phone and calling the homeowners who received estimates 7 to 14 days earlier.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, knowing that aggressive systematic follow-up is the most immediate practical fix, well, the next question we have to answer for our clients is how we build long-term resilience.
Right. How do we stop the bleeding permanently?
How do we ensure these businesses aren't scrambling in a panic every single spring?
We need to transition them from that fragile relationship-only model into a robust, self-sustaining ecosystem. If we look at the Chimney companies that actually stay busy year-round, they share a very specific operational DNA.
Yeah, they do. And the primary trait is that they never rely on one single channel. It is never just neighborhood referrals or just Google ads or just a billboard on the highway. They have a highly diversified mix.
They build a machine with multiple engines. They have a strong base of repeat customers who they keep engaged long after the initial repair is complete. They maintain those vital referral relationships with roofers and realtors. But they also have rock-solid local search visibility, so brand new people moving into the area can find them easily.
And critically, they maintain that visibility even during the slow months.
Yeah.
They do not turn their marketing off in May just because homeowners are distracted by landscaping.
That's the biggest mistake.
It is, because that is exactly when you capture the market share the other guys are ignoring because they panicked and pulled their budgets.
Now, wait, we do have to acknowledge the elephant in the room here. Macroeconomic conditions absolutely play a role.
Oh, for sure.
When we're mapping out strategies for clients, we are always looking at things like FR economic data.
Right.
For anyone unfamiliar, that's the Federal Reserve economic data. It tracks massive national trends like consumer credit card debt, interest rates, overall consumer confidence. Now, why does a local service business need to care about what the Federal Reserve is tracking? Like, that sounds like Wall Street stuff, not Main Street home services.
Well, it sounds disconnected until you look at how people actually finance a $10,000 chimney rebuild. If rate data shows that interest rates are spiking and consumer confidence is low, a homeowner is highly likely to delay a massive luxury outdoor fire pit project.
Yeah, nobody's taking out a loan for that right now.
Exactly. They aren't going to take out a high-interest home equity line of credit for an aesthetic upgrade.
Right, the money gets tight.
But, and this is the crucial pivot, they still have to fix the carbon monoxide leak in their furnace flue. Safety and compliance repairs cannot be delayed, regardless of the economy.
It's literally a life or death issue.
So if you understand that macro data, you dynamically change your marketing strategy. You stop running ads promoting beautiful aesthetic masonry upgrades, and you shift all your budget into campaigns promoting essential flue safety and leak prevention.
You change the bait based on the water temperature.
Exactly. Even in a tight economy, the companies with strong follow-up systems and an adaptable mix of lead sources weather those slow periods exponentially better than the companies sitting by the phone, crossing their fingers that a past client remembers them.
Yeah, hope is not a strategy.
It's really not. And this is why we focus so heavily on real operational results rather than abstract marketing theory.
It's why we always point to the client spotlight we use internally with FluTech. When business owners see the FluTech example, they see what actual systemization looks like in the real world.
Yeah, that case study is powerful.
It resonates so much more than just talking about click-through rates or cost per acquisition. It proves that consistency is engineered. It is never accidental.
No, never. So let's synthesize everything we've just laid out on the table here in this strategy session.
Relying on one single source of work to do all of the heavy lifting for your revenue is a massive liability. True, sustainable growth, the kind of growth that doesn't keep you awake at night staring at the ceiling in May, requires building systems that survive beyond individual handshakes in busy seasons.
It requires knowing exactly where your jobs are coming from and rigorously tracking the shift between normal seasonal dips and dangerous structural drops. You have to monitor that 80% to 40% referral metric we talked about.
Absolutely.
And above all, it requires ruthlessly eliminating the post-estimate void where 30% of your revenue might just be evaporating into pure silence.
You cannot rely on the illusion of the word-of-mouth safety net. It feels amazing when the net is full of easy jobs in November, but if there's no system tying it down, it just blows away with the spring breeze.
Which leaves an incredibly important question for you to evaluate your own operation. You have to ask yourself if you are truly operating on systems or if you are just operating on momentum, because momentum always eventually stops.
It absolutely does. Look, if you're sitting there realizing that you might have some hidden structural leaks, or you're just exhausted by the feast or famine anxiety and want to get more consistent, better projects, well, that is exactly what we help with at Atrium.
That's our bread and butter.
It is.
Huh.
We run structured marketing reviews that usually reveal exactly where these silent leaks are happening in your specific business, whether it's in your CRM follow-up or your ad spend. You can check us out and see how we build these systems at creativeatrium.com.
The numbers always tell a very clear story, once you stop guessing and know exactly where to look.
They really do. All right, we're going to wrap up this internal session, but we want to leave you with a final lingering thought. We talked about that giant oak tree falling over because the roots were surprisingly shallow. So take a hard look at your own root system today.
Yeah, really look at it.
If your absolute best, most reliable referral source, The person or company who sends you your highest paying, easiest jobs if they retired, went out of business, or moved away tomorrow, exactly how many days would it take for your business to feel the financial impact?
That's a scary question for a lot of people.
And more importantly, do you actually have a measurable system in place to replace that revenue without just crossing your fingers and hoping the phone rings?
Definitely something you need to answer before May arrives.
We'll see you at the next one.